Hello, here's a short video. It's going to give you a little bit of core work that keeps you on the floor. So no standing poses here. We're going to start in infinite pose or Anatasana. And I'll start facing you. And then when we do the other side, I'll flip it around, but you can stay as you are. So you may want something to pad the outer leg bone. Some people think it's their hip that's hitting the ground, and for some it could be, but for most people it's their greater trochanter. And so if you're getting like this really cruddy, like bone on hard floor feeling, just take something underneath you to soften it up. This is an extra thick mat, otherwise I would need to put a blanket or something under here. Alright, so from here, we're not quite in the letter I, which would be closer to infinity pose. We're just getting comfortable. So let the top arm slowly reach back, and then we'll bring it in. So we're going to bend the limbs as we do this, rather than take everything out, just sort of outstretched and hanging out there. And as you take your hand in and out, you could push the hand forward if you want to, palms extended, and then let your hands and fingers slowly curl into a baby fist, and then you can extend more on the wrist, pull it back, and then reach it behind you. And this is going to cause you to move a little bit on that outer leg, and it'll give you an idea as if you need something to pad the bone. Just do that a couple of times. Chances are you've been working on a computer or using a mouse or a phone that you've been thumbing around on all day. And just put it back here. Good. So you can do that some more if you want. Pause the video. Otherwise, I'm moving on. I'm going to extend the top leg out. I'm going to activate the foot. So I've got some of the leg is activating. The shin kind of feels active because I'm curling the toes up towards the shin, and the bottom leg stays relatively bent. And then from here, I'll allow the bottom arm to extend and my head to lie down. If this hurts your neck or bothers you in any way, in your shoulder, you can always bend the arm and pull the elbow forward. Otherwise, if you have the shoulder flexion here to bring your arm up, do so. We'll just kind of hang around here for a moment and get our bearings. And then if you have your arm all the way up, stretched like I do, you can turn your palm towards the sky. If you have the bent arm position, just stay as you are. We'll breathe a few times here, and then every time you exhale, if you can feel the belly draw back a little bit. And as you inhale, feel it expand naturally. And then as you exhale again, just feel like the points between those two hip points, like you have these two bones in the front, maybe you feel around for them. Let that part condense in and up towards like the solar plexus, and then relax. I'm going to have you repeat this a few times because as we make the work on our side a little bit more challenging, the tendency is going to be to dump into the back body and start arching and extending in the lumbar. And what we want to do is find something that's relatively neutral, that's activating more core and oblique muscles. So if you find that you're tipping over at any point during this, because you probably will, and you realize that your first instinct is to sort of thrust the ribs and arch the spine to save yourself, see if you can find more going on deeper behind the abdominal wall and closer to the front of your spine. And you may fall over when you do that, but that's okay, right? Okay, so from here, you may decide that the bottom leg can extend. Now you can stagger your feet. This creates more stability, or you can stack your feet, creating less. As you stack your feet, you may start to feel like you're going to tip already. I do. And so I'll access that exhale. Even when I inhale, I'm not going to fully release the belly out. I'm just going to let myself continually think that the muscles in the front of the spine and and part of the mula bandha, the pelvic area, is like lifting up. And I'm not squeezing my butt. I mean, it's squeezed a little bit for sure, but it's not like clenching. Good. So this might be enough for you. If you're, in this case, if your talking hand is on the floor to stabilize you, that's fine. In fact, I recommend that, especially if you don't do this. What we'll do is we'll lift the bottom leg as though it's taking the top leg with it, and then we'll let it come back down. So you may find that lifting the leg creates a stability issue. So do the exhale there as you think about the muscles in front of the spine drawing up towards the solar plexus and in a little bit. And just do that a few times. Feel free, if you would like, next time your legs come down, lift the upper shoulder, armpit, and head. And I'm saying in that order because the tendency is to lift the head, and you want to let the head be relaxed and let the upper arm or bicep, whatever's touching it most. Because if you have a bent arm and your elbow's pointing forward, then you need to reconsider that. So it might be your hand that's touching your head, right? Okay, can we put the two together? Maybe. Take a breath here, and then as you exhale, let a little bit of the belly draw back, almost like you were going to start doing a cat pose. And then lift up both limbs. And then come back down. And lift up both limbs. Well, I should say you're lifting up 3 limbs, to be honest with you. And you may or may not find that this is comfortable. So you may go back to just lifting one area, which is totally fine. If you're gripping and you're clenching, and if you were talking, it would sound like this, you probably should stop lifting the upper body and just work on the lower. All right, so then the last thing you can do is take your top hand a little further out and maybe even play with the idea of just using a couple of fingers on the ground and then maybe nothing at all, which gets a little nutty. But I could be arching my spine right now, but I'm creating more of a concave shape in the abdomen. So give that a try, whatever you want. Do 3 more of it, whatever feels like it's what you need. So if you need a challenge, but you don't want to be frustrated, pick that. If you want it to be nice and easy, pick that. Good. So once you're done with that side, roll to your belly. And then we'll do a banana pose, but we'll do it prone. So in this case, if you are lying on your right side, you're going to take your feet over to the right, your legs over to the right, maybe even off the mat. And then you'll take your hands also to the right. If you were lying on your left side, do this all to the left. And then ideally, we're just trying to get a stretch in the side ribs on the left side. If you're to the right, hook the right foot or the right ankle across your left ankle and sort of hook them together so your right leg is in charge a bit here. And it might be sort of tugging your left leg or at least pinning your left leg down. And then you can choose to keep reaching your hands more and more over to the right. Just chill out there for a minute. Keep the breath moving. Don't lift your head. I'm only doing that so you can hear me. And then when you're done, we'll find some symmetry in a Sphinx style position. If you need a little break in terms of maybe you are overusing your low back a bit for stability, I would take a nice cat pose on the hands or elbows and maybe pause there as you breathe with a slightly rounded spine in the back. And then we'll take the other side. So if you want to flip yourself so you can see what's going on. This side I might do a little quicker, and so you can pause and take time. I'm on my left side. It's okay if you're not. You can start by seeing what it's like to have your knees bent. Then the top leg can go straight. And you can use your top hand at any time for support or balance. And we'll do 5 breaths together here. So I already noticed that I'm digging into that lumbar curve that my body just loves so much. And so as I exhale, I'm going to find more muscular action to create more neutrality. When you inhale, you kind of naturally have a little extension down there. That's fine. And then as I exhale, it's almost like you're doing cat-cow, but with your lower spine. And I'll extend both legs. You can stagger or stack. It's totally okay, whatever you choose to do. And then from here, if you can take the arm straight, that's great. If not, you know what to do. Take your hand under your elbow forward, palm to the sky, and then we'll start lifting. So what I'm going to do is gather the front of the belly first before I start lifting, especially because I know this side tends to be a lot more teetery. And then every time you exhale, you initiate that little baby drawing in and back before you lift the legs. So I always think of it as my bottom leg trying to lift my top leg. And then my top leg and glute area will engage. See how much more teetery this is? It's kind of cool. So just notice if you need a little bit more help, like your top hand needs to be on the ground, right? That's a thing that you're probably going to need. And then if it finds you, you know, your neck doesn't hurt and you're doing okay, you can lift the top arm. So if your body is like, you know, I think I can do this okay, just do a few first with only, and I want you to think about lifting your armpit, your upper arm, and then your head. Try to go with it in that order, if you can. I notice that I can't go quite as high on this side. All right, so you can certainly try both. I'm going to take my top hand as a support, and I'll lift, and I'll try very much to use the exhale and a sort of pulling inward towards the center of my body rather than arching backwards towards the wall. And as you do this, you might find that you grow a little bit tired or your neck starts to cramp because you're using your neck more than you thought. So just give yourself a moment to hang out and not do anything and correct any movement that feels uncomfortable. All right, my hand's going out. I'm going to do about 6 or 7 more. I'm going to let you figure out what you're doing with your body. You could just be laying there. It's not my dog. Okay, I'll do one more. I did not try the one without support. That's because I'm going to go just like that. Yep. All right, so I was on my left side, so I'm going to creep the legs and hands and arms to the left. Do the opposite if you're on your right side. And you can hook whatever the outside leg is, that leg can hook, I should say that foot or ankle hooks around the other one and kind of pins it there. Breathing in, dog hair. So give yourself about 3 more cycles of breathing. And then we'll come to either Sphinx pose or, to be honest with you, I'm over having an arched spine. I know that I probably use it too much to compensate there. And I'll come back into this toe pose, child's pose, sort of hybrid. You don't have to do this with your feet, but you can. And then just pause in any place that's restful for you and either add this to something you already did today or maybe see if it's something you try every day, especially if you were struggling with balance and with arching your back. You could use it as a baseline, short little workout to see how your core stability is doing, right? So chill out, take your next step wherever you're going, and I'll see you again later.